Welcome back to the Purpose Babe Show. I'm your host, Corie Clark. I hope that you had an amazing Christmas with your family and your loved ones. We had such a great Christmas, and I am just so grateful to God for sending His Son, for the life that He has given me, for my husband, my kids, my family, my friends, my business, and I am a little bit sad that it's over because I really do love Christmas. We decorated super early this year because we just wanted to soak it in, and I think I'll be leaving the decorations up till at least January 1st. But even though I'm sad Christmas is over, I am so excited that New Year's is around the corner, that there is new dreams, new vision, new goals for me, for my business, for my family. And I'm just have so much excitement and anticipation for 2022. And I hope that you do too. And if you're kind of feeling like you're just in this rut and you don't know what to do next year and you don't know what goals to set because you can't seem to ever reach them, then I would love to see you inside our 30 Days of Purpose Challenge. So I am doing this for my Purpose Babe Society members, but we are actually opening it up to the public because I want more women to be able to go through it. And it comes with some amazing, amazing bonuses like a free planner that as soon as you sign up, I will get that planner shipped out to you so that you can use it during the challenge. And we will all be committing to doing something individually for those first 30 days of the year. And together as a group, we're going through the 90 Days of Purpose journal. And that's where we practice our gratitude, what we're thanking God for every day, the affirmations and the declarations that we need to speak over ourselves that God says about us, the dreams that we are believing God for, and the intentions that we are going to set each day and how we're going to show up. So I'm really excited, and then I'm walking everybody through my own framework. Now, this is a new challenge. I have never done this exact challenge before, but this year I'm really wanting to shift into helping women step into their God-given purpose, whether that's in just, their everyday life, whether that's in their marriage, being a mom, in their community, in their church, or in their business. And so I'm really excited about this framework that I've created to really help kick off your year with some momentum and excitement, but making sure that it's aligned to your purpose. And I feel like that's kind of the biggest reason a lot of people don't reach the goals that they set at the beginning of the year because they really aren't even aligned with their purpose. It's like, oh, this sounds like a fun idea and I just want to lose weight, or I want to get stronger, or, whatever it is. And they don't really have a purpose behind it. And it's not something that is aligned with this life that they're trying to create. So that is exactly what we're going to be helping women do in the 30 Days of Purpose Challenge. So if you have not saved your seat yet, then you can go to the link in the show notes. It's 30daysofpurposechallenge.com. I also, like I said, I'll put the link in the comments. I've got links in my Instagram for it, but you want to get signed up ASAP because I will be sending your planner as soon as your order is placed. So you want to get your planner fast. And I'm sending it priority. So you're getting a freaking killer deal. And I actually added some extra bonuses. So you can read all about those if you go to 30daysofpurposechallenge.com. Anyways, like I said last week, I am dropping a couple of new episodes this week. They are interviews that I did with my friend, Dr. Matt Hubbard. He actually had me go into his coaching group and do a couple of live interviews / trainings, and they were really, really good and a lot of information that I wanted you guys to be able to hear. And so he so kindly gave me those recordings. So this is actually an interview being done by my friend Matt, and he's asking me the questions. This episode is all about just really getting your life in order, about kingdom order and what that looks like in your day-to-day life so that you can be the woman that God's called you to be. So creating that margin and simplifying and all of that good stuff. So I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this episode. And then the next episode is focused more on being like a woman of God and business owner, and how you can do that the best you can. So anyways, this first one though is great, really cool, like easy to apply stuff that you can actually take away and do today. So I'm excited for you, especially after, it's such a chaotic time of year. The end of the year, the beginning of the year is so much chaos with holidays and traveling and getting the kids back into school in January and all that good stuff. So this is a great time to kind of do a little recalibration for your life and do a little simplifying. So enjoy this interview with Dr. Matt, and I will actually link his information in the show notes as well, so you can check out everything that he's up to. He's awesome. He's very inspiring, and I highly, highly recommend following him. And I personally follow him and look up to him and have great respect for him. All right, you guys, enjoy the show.
Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Matt Hubbard. So excited to, be hanging out with you and get to introduce somebody that I've known literally since she was a teenager, but that's not why she's on here. And I better not go too far down that lane, because I could definitely be thrown under the bus way more than me having any dirt on her. She's like probably the angel of my high school life, but I was not. But thank goodness God redeems all things. So she is a total entrepreneur, total boss lady, and I've been watching her space for the last couple of years. Been buying all her products. My wife is a massive fangirl of Corie Clark. And so before we get in this interview, check out her resources, CorieClark.com. I love it. I was just telling her about my new little remarkable pad that I get to take all these cool notes on. But she also has a Purpose Babe Society, which it's for kingdom women entrepreneurs that are doing radical things. And so definitely give her a follow, check her out, get to that website. And I already can pre-endorse her, because I already know you're going to pick up what she's putting down. So get ready for this. But the reason why I invited her on today is that she has a specific really way that she thinks. And I've done a lot of research on mindset, on how we do life. How you do anything is how you do everything. And why I wanted Corie to come on today, just to share how she started, maybe her journey, where she's at. But she did this really specific thing that I loved, and my wife geeked out over it. Matter of fact, probably some of my favorite things about Corie are also some of my things I'm so upset at her about. It's funny. We're thankfulness. What are you thankful for? I'm thankful for Corie Clark, but I'm also, it's hard to be thankful when your wife's busting you all the time, talking around the subject of clutter. Because I know that I won't hire people based on if their life is chaotic, how are they going to make my life better? And so when it comes to business, when it comes to entrepreneurship, if your life is a mess, then your business will be a mess. If your life is a mess, then your life is literally a mess. And so, I want her to really speak into that. And Corie, how did that become a thing for you? It became a platform for you. You created actually books around it, journals around it, and you have helped thousands of people in this world and created a business based on their junk. So Corie Clark, welcome. We're going to be going after maverick entrepreneurs and faith-based entrepreneurs. You're going to talk to thousands of people. It's going to be downloaded. It's going to be evergreen. And so teach us what you know and help us, because I know you can help us be better entrepreneurs through this simple thing called clutter.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me, Matt. And I would never throw you under the bus. You were a good friend in high school, so I would never do that to you.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Besides, I'm sure
Love
you've
covers.
shared. Exactly. It does.
Yeah.
No, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. When I saw your lineup of the people you're having on here, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so honored that he asked me to do this. But I'm just excited because, like you said, like clutter is something that it can really drag you down and you don't realize it. And so for me, the reason it wasn't just the physical clutter, but what got me going on this was I felt called to something bigger. Like I knew I had a bigger purpose. I knew there was more I needed to be doing outside of, I was a stay-at-home mom. I was homeschooling my kids, but I just felt like there was more and I couldn't like keep up with the chaos of my life, and so whether that be physical clutter or just keeping up with the schedule, saying yes to everything that comes my way, finances, our health, like when you're trying to chase the American dream, and keep up with the Joneses, it's too much and it's not what you're meant to do. And so if you're trying to always do all those things, it starts to just consume your life and you end up not having time, not having energy, not having money, all of those things. Right. And so I basically just had this moment where I just felt like God was like, you've got to simplify your life. Like if you want to really like start doing what I'm asking you to do. And I didn't even really know what that looked like, And so I just thought, all right, well, let me map this out. I'm like, I love strategy. And so I just kind of took that part of my brain and created a strategy to simplify my life. And I basically broke my life down into like 4 main areas, but really
I'm taking notes.
Okay, do it. So your health, your home, your finances, and your time. Because if any one of those areas is suffering, it's going to make the other areas suffer as well, right? And so health, like spiritual health, mental health, physical health, all of that, it was kind of like, hey, what does this look like? And what I had to decide was like, out of these 4 key areas, like, how do I want my life to look in those areas? If I were to write a story of my life or to watch my life as a movie, like, what would I want this to look like? And I knew like I needed more peace. And so I knew that meant like, I got to start cutting some stuff out. And it just looked like coming up, like establishing those values. And, I had no frameworks to follow. I was literally making this up as I went along. This was a long time ago. This was 2013. And so I was just dabbling in the online entrepreneurial world. And so I thought, I'm just going to track what I do and turn it into an ebook. And for 28 days, I just chose to do little tiny things, baby steps, 15 minutes at a time, and really like reprioritizing our life and figuring out like, what do we want it to look like? Do I want to be, running around all over town trying to keep up with what every other mom is doing with their kids? Or do I want to create, our own lifestyle? And it was a lot of micro decisions, I would say. And basically at the end of the 28 days, it wasn't like I had this complete like extreme makeover, but I felt more at peace. We had less clutter in our home. We had less clutter in our brains. We were eating a little healthier, moving our bodies a little bit more, spending more time with God, spending more time as a family. And so it wasn't, it's funny because I think the biggest problem people have is they think they have to give their life this overhaul. And it's actually just these little decisions each day kind of based on your values and how you want your life to live that actually end up making such a big difference in your life. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, the happier you are, the more at peace you are. And as you get rid of that clutter, I mean, we can totally talk about physical clutter too, but as you get rid of that, it frees up space in your mind. Like I always say, physical clutter creates mental clutter. If you can like walk away from your house, but you know it's still there, you know there is a mess when you get home, and it's a kind of a scarcity mentality. Like you got to hoard stuff and you got to keep stuff. So I just feel like if you can't take care of those 4 areas of your life, you're going to be a mess everywhere else. And so for me, if I was to pursue the purpose God was calling me to, I had to get my life in order. I had to get my mind in order. I had to get my home in order. My marriage has always been amazing, so I didn't have to like get my marriage in order, but it already was. But I think those things are always, you can't put those on the back burner. If you want to make big impact in your business, in your community, for the kingdom, like you can't be a hot mess behind closed doors.
That's right. It's funny. Realistically, there's a study that came out says if you can clean up these areas, and I forget what the specific areas were, but one of them said your office. So whether it's your office, making sure that you start the day totally free from clutter and you end it the back, over 60 days, you'll be 27% more effective.
Wow. I believe it.
And they gave this whole psychology behind it. It was a radical thing. And it's when I started looking in to people with clutter, how you do anything, how you do everything. So what does their life look like? That's why I think it's such a great subject, because you're right. Health, if you're sloppy in that area, you're going to look sloppy. And it's so true. Like, it's funny. I just sold my house, and the father had one reason why he wanted the house, the dad. The mother said, I saw your pantry. And it was funny because after my wife got one of your journals and she started going through and we started decluttering our life, it was awesome because we were holding each other accountable in these little areas. She goes, the one place we have no control over is our pantry. I need to have someone come in and put cabinets in there so we don't see it. And then I'm going to lay out our kitchen like this. I need our kitchen to look uncluttered. And then I need our pantry to look epic. No joke. I said, fine, babe. We budgeted it. She ripped it out. I never had so much joy around a place I don't give a rip about. But when I come home still today, every time I walk in the kitchen, I get a little smirk on my face looking about how epic our pantry looks. No joke. We just sold our house, $100,000 over asking. Nice. And the woman said, anybody that has a pantry like that, I know has a life that we want. And man, my wife looked at me and she just said, I knew she was thinking, I told you. It was, so I should send a love offering to you, Corie, because it started off just a simple thing, because you break it down really simply in your journal, where to start.
Yeah.
Because just the word thinking, people think, oh, I got to clean. They get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so if you can encourage people, where do you start? How did you come up with your little planner, like where to start? Or because you chunk it up very well, and and tell us where we can get that resource. So a lot of people are going to hear this like, all right, where do I get that thing?
Yeah.
So tell us about that and then how to find it.
So basically what I did and what I teach people to do, like not even just in the planner or the book, like I have a declutter program that people can go through to like for 6 weeks to declutter their life. And it's honestly like the very first step. The first thing I have people do is write down what you have to do. Like walk through your house and write it down, because here's the thing, like you just said, it's all in your head and it's overwhelming and you think there's more you have to do than you actually have to do. And so the more you sit and think about it, you're just like, oh, if you walk through your house and just write down like, hey, okay, I need to clean out the closet. Oh, I need to hang some pictures there. I need to do whatever. You walk through your whole house. It's going to take you 10 minutes and you just make a huge fat like brain dump list of the things that you need to do. And because when you see that on paper, you realize like, oh my gosh, why have I been putting this off? This is easy, you know? And the next thing I do is I have people start like with their surfaces. Like you said, like your office needs to be clean in the morning. So don't go dive into a cabinet that you never even open anyways, right? It doesn't matter. You don't see it. Like just go through your house and get rid of stuff that's, you know, your junk piles, junk mail piles, whatever it is that you have laying out, and get rid of it. That's the other thing, is really learning to get rid of stuff and not have attachment issues.
I have attachment issues.
I know. Hey, I do. Like, that's why I had to work on it, because I do too. But, you know, there's, at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's not stuff we can take with us to heaven. Now, I'm not a minimalist by any means. So, you know, don't get me wrong when I say this. It's just learning, like, do I actually need this? You know, and same thing, teaching your kids. Like, I used to teach my kids, when I would give them a box and I would leave it up to them. I would say, you need to fill this box with, you know, toys that you don't play with anymore, stuff that you don't need, and we're going to donate it. And since I gave them that control, it was like, you know, sometimes parents will like sneak in while their kids are at school and they'll clean out a bunch of stuff. Their kid gets home and is like, where's my, you know, Happy Meal toy, like this big, and they're freaking out. And so to me, that just kind of, that doesn't teach them anything, except it kind of teaches them, like, I got to hoard my stuff more because mom and dad might throw it away when I'm not looking. And so when you give them that power, they get to decide. And I would just say, like, you can't come out of your room until that box is full. And they would fill it. They didn't care, you know, and it's taught them to not, like, none of my kids are like, they don't hoard stuff. They're not cluttery. Like, they're more organized than I am. And so I think it was just teaching them at that young age, like, to not have this attachment to things, and teaching them how to save their money so that they could, you know, they've bought any iPhone they have, they've paid with their own money. And so they value those things, you know? So anyways, sorry, I got totally sidetracked on the declutter thing.
It helps, because kingdom is a kingdom of order, and people don't understand. You read Genesis, God did it in order. You know, he separated, then he created the day and the night, you know, he did all these things. And so if we can understand order in our life, we'll live actually a kingdom purpose. When we're in disorder, this has nothing to do with kingdom. And so you're either under order or under disorder, and disorder won't bring blessing. And that's why this is such an important topic, because when people feel like they're out of control in their life, it's really a reflection of the chaos or the disorder in their life. So this is just a really important conversation for entrepreneurs to have. They got to bring order where there's disorder, or how can God bless them with the desires of their heart? A lot of people have dreams, but they can't walk into them because they're in such disorder. And so you're helping people organize what looks like chaos, and the blessing could be in there, but they put it in the right order and get the crap out of the way. Then they can walk into what they're called to walk in. And so you're just hitting it exactly what people need to hear. It's just that what I find is people understand it once they go, aha, I get it. But now what? Now what do we do? And I think that's the key, that you figured out the strategy, the systems, and the processes to help people not get overwhelmed by their clutter, but to get in their mess and get it structured where they can flourish in it. So any wisdom around that?
Right. Well, yeah. And it's, I mean, going back to what I was saying a little bit ago, it's really, like you said, it's getting things in order. And you don't have to have like a Martha Stewart house. You don't have to go buy a million organizing bins. I mean, yes, they help. They might motivate you. But at the end of the day, if you're just like reorganizing your clutter over and over and over, you're not getting rid of the clutter, right? So it's really figuring out, and that's why I did the whole life thing, like the health, the home, the finances, the time, because if you just create a little bit of margin in each of those areas of your life, it creates so much room for God to move. If you're stretched too thin in every area of your life, you are going to miss out on the things that God's calling you to. You're going to miss out on his voice. You're going to miss out on like little moments because you don't have time in your schedule to actually just have some free time and see what God does with it. And so to me, it was really about making room for God and allowing him to lead me. And so as I created room for God in my home, we were more at peace. You know, your family time was more peaceful because you're not staring at the clutter or staring at the pile of laundry. And, you know, I think there's like this whole, I don't know, it's this weird thing with women on Instagram that are all being vulnerable, which is awesome. I'm all for people being vulnerable and not like hiding like their truth. But it's like they're proud of their mess, you know? It's like, oh, you know, I'm just being vulnerable. Look at my disaster. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have judgment when someone has a messy house. Like, you're busy, your kids are little, they're running around, there's always a mess. But when you're taking pride in a mess and your kids aren't living in peace, like it's just not, like you said, there's kingdom order. And so I feel like God created women specifically to like take care of their homes and take care of their children. And if you do it well, you will have a happy home and you will have more time and energy to do the things that God's calling you as like an individual to do and your family. So that's why it was so important to me. But I mean, yes, the basics are like, you have to know what you want. You have to know like what you want your family life to look like, your home life to look like. And you have to start saying no to the things that don't align with that and start like, you know, being disciplined. It's going to take some work at the beginning, but if you fix it now, it's going to be a lot easier, you know, over the coming months and years for you to pursue the purpose that God's put on your life.
You know, I will tell you that the most amazing thing is when I get in people's finances, you know, I look at their money a lot, and I always say, show me your calendar and show me your bank account. I'll show you your priorities. And boy, it just highlights what's important to people. And
Right.
The one thing with money, if your money life is a mess, it's a reflection of how your life's going to be. Or people can, it's like start somewhere, but it's all separate. You know, it's like I always tell people, if your business life is a mess, your home life's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
You know, if your
and
marriage,
vice versa.
yeah. And if your marriage sucks, guess what? It's going to overflow into other areas. So like, you just got to look at, we are holistic individuals. Don't think you can compartmentalize for maybe a short time, but it will eventually come up. That's why it's like, look at those areas, whether it's health, home, money, or time, and which one is the biggest energy leak to you now. Let's seal that up so you can get your life back.
Exactly.
And then once you get that back, then let's look at the other little foxes that are ruining your harvest that you're meant to walk in. And so for you, what would you say was your biggest breakthrough in this area that you conquered? And then what was the fruit of it?
I think learning to like create our own values as a family and learn how to like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we stand for. And because that's helped in every other area, because I know what our values are. I don't care what anybody else thinks. We've totally gone a different path than most people. I mean, nowadays more people are doing what we've been doing, but I mean, we've been homeschooling since before it was cool. You know, we've traveled a lot. We've had to move for various reasons, and we're a tight-knit family. But learning to like let go of like, I don't have to sign my kids up for every sport because that's what everybody else is doing. You know, I don't have to, like, it's all these have tos that people put on themselves, and trying to keep up with the Joneses or trying to keep up with the American dream is so much smaller than what God has for you. You know, like the God dreams and God's plan for your life is so much better than the American dream. And so if you're trying to fit into this little box, like you're just going to be miserable. And so I think learning for us, for me personally, learning to say no to things, even if it's like, oh, that sounds so fun, I could really use a girls' night, but no, we're not, because I have these, you know, these values. And I know, like, I mean, I think you, like, a lot of people call them like they're big rocks. Like, you've got to know what those are.
Yeah.
They have to be non-negotiable. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes that means you're saying no to a party or going shopping or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, you just feel so much more fulfilled when you're actually doing things that are like aligned with your purpose, aligned with your family values. And I think that was my best lesson because it's made even my business decisions easier.
Yeah.
Like, sure, I could go chase a bunch of like shiny objects and go bust out like a random $1 million funnel. But like, what if it's not aligned with my purpose? I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, that's so foreign to them. They don't understand that. They're just trying to figure out, you have two groups of people. One, they're trying to keep their head above water. So they're like, what's one tool I could take? And then the other people are like, no, I need to level up my life. And so there's two groups. It's like, how do you address both of them? And it's really the same place as finding out what's pulling you down or keeping you out of that. For me, my category, if I had to look at your four, my biggest one was money at the time. I was in credit card debt, school loan debt, starting to practice debt. So I had to figure out how to get the chaos. And the first thing was I had to pull my head out of the sand and just say, I have a problem with money. I'm an overspender. I spend on stuff I don't need to try to impress people that I don't like, it's just, what am I doing with money? So I had to really, out of these four topics, I think my biggest challenge was go do a deep dive and clean up my life, get this so hyper-focused on organizing money that I would be in a place where I would know what I have, know what I'm responsible, understand tithings and the offering and the spirit of generosity. But when God straightened that up, everything else came into a rhythm. For some people, it's time. They're a slave to everybody else, and they're just killing themselves working for money. They need to own time. Health. Some people, it's amazing. I'm in the health industry. They will sacrifice everything for wealth, but at the end of their life, all that wealth will be spent on their health because they totally train wrecked it.
Yeah.
And then some of it's home because they're so neglected at home. So I think each of these, but for you, of these four, which one were you most proud of conquering?
Probably at the time that I went through this, I would say home, because my kids were a lot younger and, that was my life. This was before I had my business. I had always been an entrepreneur. I used to have a salon when we lived in Northern California and did hair, but this was like beginning of like this new journey of stepping into like a new authority that God had given me. And part of that was because of you. When me and Ryan came and visited you and we went out to dinner and stuff, and you were like, why not you? Because I was like all hyped on like health stuff, and I was like, how we've been lied to. And I want people to know that, like, and you were like, well, why don't you, And so that's when I got my website and just started that dream was just like the seed was planted. And so that's when it was like, I've got to get my life together. I got to get like my crap together if I want to do this, because I don't have like the capacity for it. And at the time we were living in a really tiny condo in Irvine, California, and all three kids were in one room. I mean, it was, that's what I needed to get together so that I could have peace and could focus. Because if I didn't get like my house together and get rid of the clutter and have that peace, I wouldn't have been able to sit there and focus and start writing and blogging and, pursuing like those ideas that God was giving me. And so, yes, that was like the big thing for me, was just getting rid of that clutter in our teeny tiny, like, I think it was like 1,200 square foot condo.
That's amazing. It's amazing to see the journey people go on, where they started. I love those memes, how it started, how's it going?
Yeah.
I love looking at them because it's so true. Like, how you start doesn't define you. But the thing is, you got to start somewhere. And that's what I really respect out of you. It's like you're putting the rubber to the road. You might have had a catalyst moment, but then you had to go put the work in. And I know there's a lot of, men and women entrepreneurs that just need to do something. They felt the catalyst, especially during these times of COVID and everything. They've had to reinvent who they be, who they are, how they think. I never thought I'd be a homeschooling dad, but now I'm like, what took me so long?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want my kids to be programmed by the world. Like, I love the fact that my kids are free thinkers. The best conversations are happening with my kids now because they see a society walking around in fear, in lack mentality. And it's just everything is squeezed. So you know where people stand now. There isn't no more hiding behind the shadows. Like, I wonder what people really think. Now, you know what they really think.
Yeah.
You know, I can tell if they're a bold lion or if they're a sheep.
Yeah.
You know, and then I don't care where you are today, but I do care who you're going to be tomorrow. Because the next generation is watching us. Yeah. So all my little kids, guess what? I need to raise them around free thinkers like you, so they realize they're not on an island of aloneness, but they could be out there and those tribes will find each other. And this is why this movement is so important. This is why if we can drop one seed that plants, and a man or a woman hears what you say, Corie, and they're like, that's it, I'm going to declutter my life. And then the fruit of that is a massive harvest. They're completely different and they make a bold stand for their kids. Yeah. Everything changes.
Exactly.
So that's why this is so important. So how do people find out where your stuff is at? So direct us where to go.
Yeah, if you just go to CorieClark.com, CORIE, that's where you'll find, I have my shop there. I have my declutter stuff there. It's all in one pretty little place.
I love it. Well, that's definitely organized right there. My stuff is everywhere. But, you know, the last thing I'll say is if you had to encourage men and women that are entrepreneurs, or some of them are working a 9-to-5, but they feel something more. God's stirring something more. What was the catalyst to get you to start writing a blog? Because I know a lot of you started just like, I felt like you were journaling and bringing healing. How can you encourage people just to like cut the cord and go for it? Or what would you say to them right now that are on the fence going, Corie, I need something from heaven. Where do I start?
Well, I think honestly, what holds a lot of people back is perfectionism. If they're really like not starting, it's because in their mind, they think it's got to be perfect, and you have to just start. That was like a shift I had in my mind when I did this. And it was from one of John Acuff's books. And it's a quote in there. And he said, 90% perfect and shared with the world changes more lives than 100% perfect and stuck in your head. And so I just thought, I have to put this out here. This is what God's asking me to do, because I definitely am a perfectionist, and I'll sit on things and I'll try to tweak them and make them perfect before I put them out there. But I've learned to just put things out there messy, because that brings clarity. Action brings clarity. So if you're sitting on a dream and you're sitting on a business idea, you have to put it out there. I don't care what you do. Just tell your spouse today, tell your best friend today, tell somebody I'm doing this, and start taking action. If you don't take action, you're going to end up, it's going to be 2022 and you're going to be like, oh, I should have done that last year.
That's so true. But who did that quote again?
John Acuff.
How you spell his last name?
Acuff.
Okay, cool. I love that. 90% perfect, but out to the world.
Yeah. 90% perfect changes more lives than 100% perfect and stuck in your head. Yeah. 90% perfect and shared with the world. So yeah, it was kind of like, I'm just gonna write my first blog post. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And I'm, tweak my website all the time, because it was like, oh shoot, that's not working right. Okay, I'll just fix it. You just have to you can't get caught up on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's all of these things are so superficial, and they're just these little tactics to keep you distracted. And I don't think God could care less what your website looks like or what your funnel looks like. It's like, just get it out there and learn from it,
Yeah. My more male version is done beats perfect.
There we go.
Yeah. And I'll say that to remind everyone watching right now that the devil's a liar. It talks about in John 10:10 that there is an enemy that comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And if he could just kill, steal, and destroy all your dreams, He'll never have to worry about you being anything in life that God was called you to be. So he doesn't have to worry about it. So it's just amazing how if people just realize there's an enemy that doesn't even want your dream to get off the ground, get you caught up in your chaos or your mess, then all the rest of it's easy.
Yeah.
You know, most people, they're not, you know, they're not lame. They're just uninspired.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming on here to inspire people.
Of course. Of course. I love it's my favorite thing to do.
Well, good. Well, people, you need to make sure we're gonna blow that side up. I will say this, shameless plug for you. My favorite pretty much yearly calendar journal is yours. And I buy one for my team every year. All my girls love it, but I like the male version. I've created my own that you're bringing back in Jesus' name.
Yes.
And it's going to be awesome. But listen, this is Corie Clark. Check her out at CorieClark.com. And if you are female, you're a woman out there, she's going to do a special segment just for you. And for the men, stay tuned for, Garrett White. Well, actually, everybody can listen to Garrett White, but we're going to do a special segment with Corie Clark just for the lady bosses of the world. So thank you, Corie. And everybody, thank you for watching. Ciao.